Hey guys, it's me again. I'm glad you're here. Hope you're having a great day. Mine's been very good so far. It started raining a bit, so I figured while it's raining, I'm gonna do this video and then I can get back to work. I'm still plugging away on my roof. It's almost done. I mean, it's been an old dilapidated house, so I had to patch some holes and I had to fix the chimney, and so it's more than just putting the shingles on the roof, right? It's plus I'm trying to make money, so I have to go to work at other people's places. So that's why I'm not done yet, and I keep talking about going on my roof. So um, today I was reading this daily reflections, right? And what's it called? It's called The Upward Path Today. Here are the steps we took. So I don't know if I've ever read the steps out on this channel, but I'm going to read the 12 steps out. Now again, whether you decide to go to AA, NA, CA, or not, right? Whether you're an alcoholic, a drug addict, or just somebody that's maybe dealing with drug addicts or alcoholics and want to maybe be able to help them, or listen, if you just want to fix your life, maybe it's not going the way you want it to go. Maybe things are happening that you don't want happening, right? You don't need to be an addict or an alcoholic to follow these steps. People pigeonhole things and have ideas about stuff that aren't really true. I don't think you need to be, well, I know for sure you don't need to be an addict to follow these steps and for them to make a massive change in your life. So I am going to read the steps out, and then I'll talk about them a little bit afterwards, right? So, and these steps are in the AA book for sure, but they're also in the back of this daily reflections book that I read every day, right? If any of you guys see, I got shorts out, and that's what I do is I just read this book and I tell you a little bit about what I read. After I read this, I think about this stuff for the rest of the day. It pops into my head, and I can see how my life is going, based on this book, right? It's crazy how this mimics our life. A lot of days it's exactly what I needed. So I'll just read this. The 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. 1, we were admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. And my life was completely unmanageable, right? Because of alcohol and drugs, right? Not just alcohol, drugs, right? This is an AA book. They just talk about alcohol, but I add both in there. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. So yeah, I had tried on my own over and over and over again, and it didn't work, right? And I was very hurt by Christianity and the way our church had functioned when I was a kid, and I kind of wrote that off, right? So for me to come into AA and to believe that a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity was a little tough, right? It was a tough pill to swallow, and I think a lot of us have that when we come in. But I chose to call God or whatever the creator of all. That's what I did, right? So there's no Jesus, there's nothing like that. It's the creator of everything, right? And that's what I go by nowadays. And and I love that. I love that it doesn't have to be a particular religion. It's your creator, right? Your power greater, right? So 3, we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. And it's the as we understood him. So that was it. That was the creator, right? Right? That's how I understood him. He created me and everything else in the universe, right? Not just on earth, in the whole freaking universe. So he's a pretty powerful creator. And then 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. This is 4. This is the one that gets people, they make it the first 3 and then they quit, right? But this is one of a hugely powerful step, right? It's a hugely powerful step. It makes us look at our life, analyze our life, taking an inventory, just like a business would take an inventory of what they have, what they sold the most of, what they didn't sell much of, like how much cash they have left in the bank, like just a full inventory. So we're doing that of our own life, right? Up to that point. And really you need to, because I needed to, because my life was a mess. It was horrible. The things that went on were not good. And I needed to take inventory of them. All the things, good, the bad, the ugly, right? And so that I could see where I stood in the world. And, but that's the one that just people, they just don't want to be honest with themselves, right? And say, yes, I did that. Yes, that's how it goes. Yes, they just don't. And I know lots of people that just won't do a step 4, right? And then step 5, admit it to God, to ourselves, and to another human being, the exact nature of our wrongs. Now, again, this is blasphemy to most people. They run from admitting, right? They just run from admitting that they were an idiot when they were an addict, or just in life in general, right? Depending on how you were raised or what kind of family life you had, or any of that stuff. I mean, you could be making some pretty horrible decisions and hurting a lot of people and not being an addict, drug or alcohol or gambling addict, right? You could just be an idiot. But you have to admit it, right? You have to admit that I did that shit and that I don't want to do it anymore. And so by admitting it to somebody, right? And so what I suggest to my sponsees in AA, NA, is we do the list 4, then we go and talk to a pastor or an elder, someone that you are not going to see every day, but that isn't going to open their mouth, right? And that's why I kind of go with a pastor, because they've taken an oath usually to not be a gossiper, right? But I pick one, like with my own step 4 and 5, I go to another community and get someone so that I'm not seeing them every day uptown, right? I don't have too many embarrassing things nowadays, but in the beginning, Jesus Christ, I did a lot of stupid, horrible things to people. And I didn't want to have to look at that person that I admitted that to every day or every time I walked into the store, or, like I just wanted that anonymity. So that's what I did. And I encourage that, like that. I think that's the best thing, especially for the first 1 or 2 times that you go through the steps, right? So then 6, we were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character, right? So that's just you being ready to now that you've made that list and you've admitted it, now you're ready for God to just take it away. Like, let's remove these things. Let me move forward, right? Doesn't mean you're not going to do them again. Just saying. It just means that you're willing and you're asking for God, right? Or this is the next one. 7 is humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. So you sit down with the Creator and you say, hey, I'm a dumbass. I did all these horrible things. I don't want to do them again. Please help me. Please help me to remove these shortcomings that cause me to do these stupid things, right? Okay, now 8, made a list of persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Now, if you've gone through 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, this isn't super run away from the steps part. It's usually 4 and 5 that get people to run away. Once you've passed that point, you're usually ready to say, you know what, I fucked up, right? I stole money from mom and dad. I treated my siblings like shit. I told this boss to go stick it, and I told this person and that person, and blah 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 blah, and I stole from this person and that, and lied, cheat, and stealing, right? Like that's what we do. Addicts, that's what we do, right? Not just addicts, but I'm just, That's just what we do. So we make that list, and then we become willing to make amends to them all. We become willing. That's the key to that one, right? Is to 8. And then 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. So you don't want to hurt anyone making your amends. You don't go up to so-and-so and said, yeah, me and your wife had sex 20 times while you guys are married. Sorry about that. Right? That's not helping the situation. Might make you feel a little better, but it's really going to cause problems in their life. And you're not allowed to do that just to help you, right? And in that case, in those kind of cases, right, maybe it's a family member that's passed away, or someone that's passed away, or someone that you're going to hurt, right? You write it out again. Again, we write on paper, and we read it, we look at it, we ask the Creator to deal with it for us. We ask their forgiveness if they're passed on. And then we burn that shit, right? Like, that's what I suggest. Just burn it, get rid of it. It's now in the past, it's gone, right? And you leave it there. Okay, and then 10, we continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, we promptly admitted it. So that's so that you don't build up a bunch of resentments, right? Again, we're going to be idiots for quite a while after we sober up or straighten out, right? This doesn't just happen. This life change just doesn't happen, right? Instantly, right? It takes work. It takes effort on our part. And so by taking continuous inventory of ourselves and our life, we apologize right away. Hey, you know, I was really short with you the other day, and I'm very sorry for talking to you like that. I didn't mean it like that. You know, that's my temper, and I'm sorry, right? And so by doing that, right away, we don't have to build up a resentment, right? That person doesn't have to build up a resentment towards us and call us an asshole and a dink and all the shit, right? Bitch, right? We nip it in the bud right away, right? And I do that just before I go to bed. I think about my day. I think about what I've done. Anything stupid that's come up. Maybe somebody's hurt me, done something to me, and I'm feeling bad about it. I admit it. I look at it. I analyze what can I do to change that situation. And then the next day I do something if I can, right? Sometimes we don't see things. I mean, it takes a while for us to see things. You know, as we get healed up and we get better and better and better in our life. Again, the Creator, God, gives us more knowledge about ourselves, and then we can deal with those issues, right? And then 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. So yeah, you want to make that connection with whatever your higher power is. And that's super important to have that connection, right? When I was an addict, or when we're addicts, when I was an addict, my connection was not there, right? I was connected to the drugs and alcohol, right? And everyone telling me to quit drinking and quit doing drugs didn't stop me from doing drugs or drinking. What stopped me from doing that was asking the Creator for help, right? And giving the Creator my problems to deal with, right? The things I can't deal with, that He can deal with, or they can deal with, it can deal with, however you want to put it. So you need that connection. You need to pray and to think about that stuff and meditate, right? And that's an important one, right? It's really important. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. And I like the part of the spiritual awakening. We didn't have a religious awakening, right? We had a spiritual awakening. So again, it goes back to a power greater than ourselves that we understand, that we have a connection with. I don't care if you were raised Catholic or Jewish or Islamic or any of that stuff. That doesn't affect me in any way, right? Because that's a religion. Spirituality is spirituality. You're connected to the higher power. Without any names, without any rituals, without any of that stuff. You're just connected to that higher power. And that's super powerful, right? And once you've got that connection, and you're building it slowly over time, right? But as you build it up, it's easy to get out there and carry the message to other alcoholics. It's easy to go out there and tell your story, right? Like I did in the video. I mean, it's there for life now. You know, I didn't go through every gory detail, and I never do. Like that's what your step 4 and 5 are for, right? I don't have to go through every gory detail. I can give you the gist of it, you know? And if you connect with parts of that story, that's awesome, right? That's exactly why you do it. Is maybe there's another addict out there that hears parts of your story that seem very similar to their story. And if I, this crazy, suicidal, drunken, high, druggy, liar, cheat, stealer, can get sober and clean up and change their life, well, maybe that other addict can do it. And they see that in that story, right? And that's why it's super important to tell your story. That's why it's super important to go out there and try to help others. You know, again, you don't have to do it through AA or NA. You don't, right? Maybe you're a member of a church. Maybe you can do it through the church, right? Maybe there's an addictions foundation or something in your local area, right? Maybe you can join Big Brothers and Big Sisters or Big Sisters of Canada or the United States, and you can mentor some young people so that they don't fall in the same go down the same path, right? Maybe that's a good way for you to do it. You know, you don't just have to do it through AA or NA. You can do it in all kinds of other ways, right? You can YMCA, the the Big Brothers and Sisters. I don't even know all of the organizations that they have out there. There's a lot, right? And if you can inspire a teenager, someone young, you know, that's going through it, to quit way back then, and to look at life differently way back then, even if they're not going into the addiction thing, maybe they're just very depressed and they're looking at life in a very depressed way, and maybe that's what your issue was, right? It wasn't an addiction, but you're going through depression, right? So maybe you can help them say, well, okay, well, you know what? I went through that too. And this is my story of depression. And you know, when I started to look at life differently, when I started to get a connection to this higher power, and I started to really analyze life and see the beauty in it, right? Like I said, when I came out of the treatment center, the bees buzzing around, the birds, the sunshine, the dandelions in the grass, they were all amazing to me. They're all amazing to me. And when I was in my addiction, when I was in my depression, they were all shit. Right? Poison the dandelions. Who cares about the fucking bees? You know, I hope they just don't sting me, you know? But I had that massive change, and it took me seeing life in a different way, right? And so you can help people in addiction and in depression, you know, and you can get out there and give. Believe me, the world needs more people that donate their time to try to help the situation, right? As someone that's trying really hard right now in the last 15 years to to donate time, to give back, to work with people that need the help. I can tell you, I need help helping people because there's not enough of us out there. There's not even close to enough of us out there. The problem is so big. You know, we all need to be doing something, even a little bit. If you just can do it just a little bit, and each person does a little bit and a little bit, it's going to we're going to move mountains with depression and addiction, right? We just are. So I go over those steps, not just for you guys, but to remind myself, right? To remind myself of why I do this, why I'm on YouTube. It's not to make money, obviously, because I'm not. I'm not. Maybe one day I might make a few bucks, but that's not what it's for. It's to reach out and to help, right? I started 2 groups here in the small town, again, to reach out and help. I work with AA and NA in the business level to keep the doors open and the lights on, right? So that's what I'm trying to do. That's how I'm trying to give back. And I hope you guys all do it. Like, give back once you're, give it a couple of years, like a year or 2 before you really jump into donating your time, because you got to concentrate on getting your life going in a good direction. Now, that doesn't mean if you're going to an AA group or an NA group or something like that, that you can't like show up early and make coffee. Show up early and set up, right? Show up early and greet people. That's something you can do right off the bat. It's going to make you feel so much better about yourself, right? Like, it really makes a big difference, just those tiny little things. And it helps the group out greatly. And it's a great way to start. So the first year or 2, you do that. Then after 2 years, you get into helping out in bigger ways, right? Even in the church, you can go and help your church, right? Maybe there's another organization in the area for people with handicaps or any of that kind of stuff. You can get out there and do stuff to help. And I encourage you all to do that. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for viewing. Like, subscribe, comment. Always try to comment. I don't get enough of them. I wish I got more. It would give me ideas, right? So I'm not just talking out of my own head. But I will for a while. I don't mind, right? I use this book quite often as inspiration. So if you're watching this or you're watching my shorts, get the book right from AA website. I think it was $20, if that. It's not that much money. I know $20 sounds like a lot, but today's day and age, I mean, McDonald's costs $20. So here in Canada anyway, I don't know where you're from, but here in Canada, things are a little expensive, right? So just do what you can, love life, and I'll talk to you guys later.